inside the White House, Joe Biden apparently goes on CNN and says something that is so damaging to the campaign, to her campaign. She's out on the lawn. He's inside screwing stuff up with this soundbite.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done.
Hey, what? So, in other words, half the country.
Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you thought you could put his supporters in a basket of in one basket of deplorables, and now you have this comment. Then they came out. It really wasn't much of a walk back. The White House press spokesman Andrew Bates said the president referred to the hateful rhetoric at the Garden as garbage. The rally as garbage. That really isn't a walk back. The walk back should have been, hey, I misspoke. I meant to say, but instead, he didn't really do that, and Andrew Bates, I don't think, really corrected it.
He said the only garbage I see floating out there are his supporters. So he's calling the supporters garbage. They just continuously reveal themselves in every election, whether or not it's Republicans with God and their guns, or it's smelly Walmart shoppers, or it's basket of deplorables, or it's now, this year, it's garbage. So it's just these coastal elites that are talking about middle America, the South, everyone in between New York and L.A. Yeah, Lawrence.
But Ainsley, they boxed themselves in when it comes to, they have to cover this when it comes to the media, because they cover the comedian that makes fun of every single race of people. All right, this is what he does. And if you don't believe me, you can watch The Daily Show where Jon Stewart goes through all the groups of people that he's made fun of. And they associated that with the former president. Now you have the current president of the United States, after they have covered for days now, after saying it was a Nazi rally. They have to cover this scandal from the standpoint, they've been doing it all week.
Right.
And the comedian was only joking.
Yeah, and was he telling the truth? They said they added an apostrophe to the word supporters. They put it after the S now to imply that Biden was only referring to one person.
Right. So
I'm not sure that we have the apostrophe apology is going to fly for America.
Well,
that's a spin.
We've made it official. We mentioned it on the show. So last night, after that comment was made, where apparently Joe Biden was doing a pre-arranged appearance via Skype, Donald Trump was on the stage in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Marco Rubio actually told him, hey, Mr. President, breaking news, Joe Biden just called all your supporters garbage. Donald Trump thought about what Joe Biden said, and he had this observation about, and it speaks to the cognition of the current commander-in-chief.
Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, it's terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. Honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala. Convinced. But that's a terrible thing.
And, for Kamala Harris, her closing, her closing message, Lawrence, was Donald Trump is terrible. He'll be even worse the second time around. And he's evil and he's terrible. And she did not really talk about a positive agenda that she was going to lay out.
Well, yeah, there was no agenda. There hasn't been an agenda the entire campaign. But can we just talk about the president lied? He was asked what he was supposed to be doing during this period of time. He told us that he was going to be watching the speech. Why is he in front of a laptop, even talking at this point? And so this goes back to the question of who's running the country, A, and number two, this is a guy that did not want to get out of the race. He was forced out of the race, and they tried to sideline him, but he still knows that he has the bully pulpit because he's still the president of the United States. So he's going to do whatever he wants to do. I think that's problematic. You don't want this coming out a week before the election, calling part of the country garbage, but it also tells you that the campaign has no organization.
Right.
They have no message. They're not talking about the issue.
Right.
The only people that I have to hear when I speak to a Kamala Harris supporter is they're saying, I don't like Donald Trump. They're not saying what she's for.
Right. Well, one of the problems is. Job well done. The audience goes wild in Pennsylvania. Part of the problem. Part of the problem. We had the audience yesterday. Part of the problem, though, is her campaign is like 3 different campaigns. It's part of the Obama campaign. It's the Biden campaign. It's her campaign. It's all just an amalgam. You got to figure the campaign people are, last night, were blowing up the phones or blowing up the text saying, what are you doing? You got to wonder whether or not Kamala Harris is going to say, hey, Joe, you got to lay low until I'm over the finish line.
Have Doug do it.
Yeah, have somebody do it, but it's got to be said.
The president.
Now, I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhardt. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.